So, the main body of this video we're about to see was recorded in late December of 2024. It wasn't really meant to be a video to share. It was just something I recorded as a means to practice talking to the camera, as my wife and I had recently started a YouTube channel and I needed some work. You may see that. I didn't throw the video away afterwards and delete it. I just kept it. And when I look back at it recently, I thought maybe there's something to that. Also, progress on the other YouTube channel has been slow, and I needed other projects to work on in between those videos. So I've decided to start this channel, and the purpose is mostly just for me to ramble a little about whatever's been on my mind lately and share my thoughts and hopefully spark up some conversation with some of my viewers and get some conversation going. Please feel free to share your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions. I'd welcome them. Maybe I learned something, maybe I get answers to my questions, and maybe it's good for everybody involved. With that, here's the main video. Hi, my name is Mark, and I am a longtime music lover. As I'm approaching 50 years old now, I realize that I am having a hard time finding music that I really enjoy, and I'm stuck going back and listening to the music that came out when I was in high school and in my 20s. And that seems like a crazy thing because thanks to technology, the internet, Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, so many other things, music is readily accessible anywhere, anytime. And according to some recent statistics, there's like 100,000 new songs being added to Spotify every day. That's insane, but it's also amazing. But it makes it overwhelming. Those are all different genres, all different levels of quality. And where do you begin? Growing up, we had radio stations, primarily. Maybe commercials on TV, maybe movies. Soundtracks were a big thing in the 90s. And there were some pretty great ones. Obviously, word of mouth has always been a thing. Your friends, your older brother, for my case, for instance, I had an older brother who introduced me to a lot of great music, put me onto a lot of classic rock, and just expanded my awareness of the music that was out there. Word of mouth is still a big one. Movies can be a big factor. But still, I go to work each day and I want to listen to music in headphones or on a radio, and I feel like I don't know where to begin. I've been listening to classic rock for the last 30 years. That's the music that was classic 30 years ago. So I suppose it's oldies now. But those songs are so familiar. Those artists are so familiar that sometimes you feel like no matter what song you hear from that artist, it feels too familiar. Like you've heard it a million times and you want something new. And again, where do you go? You can open Spotify and you search for the artists you already know, and they might be able to create a playlist or link to some other things in a similar vein, similar genre. But there's just so much, it's hard to sift through it and find anything you like. Back to talking about radio stations, they usually have a format. Their classic rock, their top 40, their country, their rap, hip-hop, soul, R&B, whatever. It's still broad, but it helps. But I guess I've always been a person who likes to do a little of this and a little of that. That probably makes things extra complicated for me. In high school, in my 20s, I was very proud of my CD collection. Not really a thing anymore. Nobody buys them. Nobody even sells them for the most part. Everything's been ripped into the computer over the years, and now even that's a waste. Now you stream everything. Around 95 or 96, I bought a CD from a band called the Verve Pipe. I believe it was their second album. It was called Pop Smear. And I have no idea why I bought it. I had never heard that band. Must have been something about the album cover, I guess. It was in a local records section of music store that I was in mid-Michigan. But I bought that, and it turned out I really liked the whole album. My older brother had also heard of them. He had a friend in college who was a fan of that band, actually saw them fairly often and said, oh, they're a great band. And they had recently been signed to a major record deal, and we were anxiously awaiting the release of their first major label CD. Luckily, that came out, and they had some success. In 1996, they had a couple of singles, or at least one, that came out, did pretty well on radio, and my brother and I headed out to see them when they played live at Michigan State University. Walking in, I was approached and asked if I wanted to sign up on a mailing list for another local band that was going to be playing an after show that night. We didn't go see them, but I got on that mailing list. And eventually, I did go see that band. They were called 19 Wheels. Great guys, fun band. Saw them many, many times after that. And through that, I was introduced to quite a few other artists from the Michigan area. Great bands like Domestic Problems and Fat Amy and Knee Deep Shag and The Atomic Numbers, Papa Vegas, and many others, Molly. And for a few years, I got to go see a variety of Michigan-based local bands playing at local bars or venues that toured mostly like a college circuit at the time. And it was a great time. I love live music. There's something about it that is completely different than listening to CDs. And getting to see these bands in small clubs, small venues, getting to talk with them afterwards, building some friendships with them. It was just a great time in my life. And then those bands, eventually, the members got married, had kids, had other careers. The bands quit touring, mostly quit touring. Several of them still get together once in a while for reunion shows, and it's a lot of fun to see them. But by 2002 or so, none of those bands were out touring, and that era of my life ended. There was some great music coming out in the early 2000s. Enjoyed a lot of the pop punk, the Green Day, and Yellow Card, and a lot of bands like that, and many, many others as well, of course. But these days, I find myself going back to all of that music from the 90s and early 2000s to listen to, because that's what excites me. But as I said before, it's not that it's old, it's that it's so familiar. I'd love to find something new, but I don't know how to find something new that is a little bit like what I already love. I imagine there are a lot of you who have been through similar things, feel similar, but maybe some of you have found answers or have ideas you could share about where do you go find new music. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear suggestions about the music itself. So please feel free to comment, share your thoughts. Thank you. If you have any opinions to share, please feel free to comment and respond. And if you'd like to hear any more of my ramblings and musings, please like and subscribe so that you can see videos when they come out. Thank you.